At one point in your life, you've probably played a round of Smash Bros, either way back in the day on the Nintendo 64, or even on the most recent title on the Nintendo Switch. In the first two entries of the series on the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, the roster of characters was only made up of iconic Nintendo characters, such as Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Jigglypuff. Wait, Jigglypuff? Really? I mean, I can understand the addition of Pikachu, but Jigglypuff? Isn't there more iconic Pokemon that they could have added instead? What about Charizard, Squirtle, Meowth? Let's take a dive closer into why the developers chose to add Jigglypuff, and why the character is one of the most unique within Smash Bros. So, why did they add Jigglypuff? To answer this, we have to go back to the beginning of when Smash Bros. Was in development. And it all starts with this guy, Masahiro Sakurai. He began working in the video game industry when he joined HAL Laboratory. Sakurai is most well known as the creator of Kirby, and released several of the Kirby games on the NES, SNES, and the Game Boy. Sakurai is the reason Smash Bros. Exists in the first place. After seeing how other gamers struggled to compete against players in the arcade, who knew how to pull off combos well in fighting games like Street Fighter or Tekken, he came up with the idea of a fighting game where the goal was to knock other players off the stage instead. Hopefully a game with more simplistic controls could help catch the attention of casual gamers. The original name for the game was titled Dragon King: The Fighting Game. Sakurai realized that players may not relate much to the characters on screen. His colleague at HAL Laboratory, Satoru Iwata, saw an early version of the game and suggested using Nintendo characters instead as a way to market the game. Due to Sakurai's close connection with Nintendo, since they had already published several of the Kirby games, he decided showcasing the game with Mario, Donkey Kong, Samus, and Fox McCloud in his prototype. Nintendo approved the project with promises that the game would be finished in a short time span and there wouldn't have to be a large budget, as it would be worked on by the small team at HAL Laboratory. With development starting, Sakurai soon was faced with the task of filling up the roster with more Nintendo characters. Because Sakurai created Kirby, it was guaranteed that he would add his own character into the game. Since HAL Laboratory was on a time crunch, they found out that reusing assets such as character skeletons and slightly changing it made it easy to add characters into the game, such as Luigi. Luckily, due to the addition of Kirby, the Pokemon Jigglypuff shares a very similar body type and resemblance to the pink ball. Not to mention that according to Smash 64's official strategy guide, it stated that Japan had a shared appreciation for this Pokemon. Because Jigglypuff looked familiar to Kirby, and the gamers in Japan not only liked Jigglypuff in the Pokemon game, but they also enjoyed her addition in the anime. This is the sole reason as to why Jigglypuff got added to Smash in 64. Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64 was such a success that Nintendo wanted Sakurai to make a sequel. They wished for the game to be released during the holiday period on the same year that the GameCube launched in 2001. This left Sakurai with only 13 months before the game would have to be launched. Originally, some of the characters that were on Smash 64 were going to be replaced by others. For example, Ness from the Mother series was going to be replaced with Lucas, the new protagonist from an upcoming new Mother game. But because this Mother game got delayed, Ness ended up staying in the game. Because there was only 13 months of the game to be in development, characters that were originally in Smash 64 would be easy to make into the game's sequel. Thus, Jigglypuff kept her spot on the roster for Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube. Now, Jigglypuff is a very unique character. In fact, I believe that her addition in Melee is the reason many people enjoy using this quirky little Pokemon character. For that, we have to thank the competitive Melee scene, where a majority of players flock to characters who are fast and have moves that make it easy to combo or eliminate players. So what makes Jigglypuff so good in Melee? That can be debated. Whether you say her recovery of multiple jumps and her side B special attack make it easy to get back on the stage, her singing which puts players to sleep, or even how you can move around like a balloon and use many of the aerial attacks to hit opponents. Everyone can agree that the following two moves makes Jigglypuff an amazing fighter in Melee. Her back air. This move may not look like much on the surface, but if we turn on hitbox indicators to find out how far this move stretches out, you'll realize that Jigglypuff's back air is a very great move to hit opponents from afar. It's also a move that can be spammed quickly, meaning your opponent may have a hard time avoiding it. Because Jigglypuff has multiple jumps, this move can be used to continuously hit opponents off the stage, to the point where they can't recover while you still can. The last move that stands out is Jigglypuff's Rest. When I was a kid and I first played Super Smash Bros. Melee, I thought Jigglypuff was a very weak character, especially because I didn't understand what this move does. Jigglypuff just falls asleep on the stage. How is this a good move to use? Even in Smash 64's official strategy book, it states that you should never use this move. What makes the move Rest so good? It's actually an instant kill move. For example, if I were to use this move while touching an opponent, this will happen. With Rest, Jigglypuff goes from being this adorable looking Pokemon to this scary opponent who can Thanos snap you off the stage if you aren't careful. Players like Hungrybox have shown over the past years of competitive Melee that you shouldn't underestimate a Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff is weird though, because if her shield runs out, she'll burst like a balloon and goes flying off the stage. Poor Jigs. So which character do you use when you play Super Smash Bros? Do you have a favorite game in the series? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, stay hydrated, gamers.